Welcome to the Ranch and Table Podcast, where we discuss all things related to our Texas ranch and our Ranch to Table restaurant located in downtown Rockwall. I'm your host, Lee Wells. Welcome to another podcast, the Ranch and Table, and glad to have you back with us today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of our community here. And I welcome all comments. If you want to email me, if you want to get on social media, we have a Facebook page and message me there. I would love to hear from you, see your comments. If anything helps you out, if you got any questions about something that's said, let me know. Today I'm going to talk about two concepts that I think are married pretty closely together, and that is goals and success. The two things that kind of are independent. They're two different things. You can have goals and not succeed. Sometimes you can succeed and not even know how you did it. But typically speaking, you have to have goals that are accomplished, and then success follows. And so I want to talk to you about that and just kind of give you some of my thoughts. I've got a couple people to quote and to give credit to as well. I would show some clips, but I'm not sure how copyrights work and all that. I hate to go into all this work and then have it taken down or questioned. So I'll just speak through it today instead of showing you the clips. But you can find the clips out there, and I'll mention how to do that if you'd like to learn more. But starting out with the concept of goals, I was listening to Jordan Peterson the other day, and if you don't know who that is, just Google him, go to TikTok, do a search. He, interesting man, has a lot of very, very good insight into psychology, and I'm not a big fan of psychology, but I love how it crosses into the real world. So Jordan Peterson does a good job of talking about how the brain computes. And there's a quote that he says, and I'm going to share it with you. The brain computes a decrease between you and your goal. So the brain knows the difference between the distance between your goal and where you are today. And it can sense when you're getting closer to that goal. And when that happens, it's a fact. It's proven that when you are getting closer to your goal, it actually gives you a hit of dopamine. The brain gives you a hit of dopamine, and you are rewarded for accomplishing what you had set out to accomplish. So that's the first thing that happens. And secondly, he says, after that accomplishment, it strengthens the neurocircuits that moves you forward. So not only does it reward you for it, but it also reinforces the activity and the motion and the actions and the thought process that got you closer to that goal. So it helps empower you toward reaching that goal ultimately, even though you're just incrementally moving towards a goal. And I think what that means, if in my layman's terms, is we are built to succeed. I believe, and I want to talk to you about this today, that we are physically built, mentally structured to be successful. And that's what I want to kind of try to prove to you. I believe that we are wired to achieve big things. I think our brains are built to go accomplish something, get up, go be busy, and accomplish the things that we set out to accomplish. And so success is actually addicting. People ask me all the time, why are you so driven? And you can go back to episode 3 and you can look at how I structure my life and some of where the credit goes to why I do what I do and how I do it, all the people that help me make it happen every week and all of that. But on a personal level, I have always been driven. I don't need someone to wake me up in the morning. I don't need someone to say, come on, let's go, let's get going, let's accomplish this today. I've never needed anyone in my life prodding me ahead. I've always been driven, and I'm thankful for that. But I also have began to realize why is because I love to accomplish. I just being honest. This is who I am. I love being in the mode of accomplishing things in my life. There's been some times in my life when I, in between companies or in between activities, where I wasn't very busy and I got aimless. I got to the place where I slept more. I wasn't driven to get out of bed and to go do something. I didn't have any goals. I didn't have anything to reach for. I had no reason really to get out of bed, and I hated it. It's some of the worst times in my life. I'm sure it was some of the worst times in my marriage. I would guess I probably wasn't a great dad because I wasn't being propelled forward to reach out and do something. And so when you're reaching your goals, you're being successful on a daily level, there is actually that dopamine hit that comes from the brain to the body that rewards you for the efforts that you're making. And just like other things that cause dopamine hits in your body, you can become reliant on it. And that's the way that we're built. We're made to continually succeed and push forward and get a hold of new goals and get a hold of new opportunities and move forward, not just stay where we are. And so, some people believe that success is elusive and that it's never attainable, or some people believe that success is only available to a certain few. And I wrote a book, and if you follow my podcast, I have a book out, and I'll show you what it looks like here. This is my book, and I would say the overarching message in this book to you is that success is not limited to a few people. Anyone can be successful if they do the right things the right way. It's not limited to just a couple of folks, but you can be successful if you do things with excellence, if your product's priced correctly, if you provide adequate value, and if you take care of your customers on a human level. You ought to be successful. There's really no reason why you couldn't be successful. The other thing is you have to continually challenge yourself to do more than you did yesterday, or do better on things that you did yesterday or the day before. You got to move forward. The book starts out saying that I'm just a cowboy, just a country boy from Caddo Mills, Texas. And if I can do this, anyone can do this. I wasn't voted most likely to succeed in my high school. I wasn't the guy that everyone was watching and saying, oh man, he's going to go on and do great things. I'm not sure anybody cared about who I was or what I did after high school. So it doesn't matter the precursors that we imagine and that we kind of form in our heads, in our brains about who's going to be successful or what's going to be success. It doesn't matter. Anyone can go after it. Anyone can see it happen. And once you start seeing those things happen, it becomes a good addiction. It becomes good rewards inside of your brain and body. And I believe that's the way we're built. And so when your body can calculate the difference between what you set your goal for and that you're making incremental motion and success towards that, then that's going to help us. A lot of people need that dopamine hit. They need that. And so they turn to other artificial mechanisms like nicotine, alcohol, drugs. Those kinds of things produce that dopamine hit in our bodies. And typically when people aren't being real successful, they're not really accomplishing anything. Maybe they're aimless. Maybe they've got anxieties. Maybe they have things that are caused by not being able to move forward and accomplish anything, then they are the ones typically who turn towards mechanisms that will give them that dopamine hit without getting it the natural, normal way, which is, at least in men, it is one of the things that will be able to drive us forward and keep us moving forward in a healthy way. So something to think about if you feel aimless, if you feel like you're not doing the things that you maybe should be, or maybe you're stuck, set some goals. Dream big. Get up and write down on a legal pad, or you grab a note in your phone or on your desktop or laptop and start listing out some things. They say motivational and leadership guys, experts say that if you'll make a list before you go to bed about what you're going to do the next day, it'll help you sleep better. And then if you get up in the morning with that list in mind and you go to work on that list, accomplishing those things, it gives you that reward that you're supposed to be getting. It'll actually help you sleep better. It'll get you up in the morning. Whenever you're excited about what you're doing and the things that you're accomplishing, your body's rewarding you for getting up and doing those things, because your body knows better than to just lay around. It knows better. Instinctively, we know it's not good to just sit. It's not good to not be active. It's not good to not be accomplishing something. And so just the human element of the way our body's built, we are rewarded and reinforced for the things that we go out and accomplish. And so set goals. We've set goals in our restaurant and hit them. It feels great. We've set a goal just a couple weeks ago. We wanted to be, I think it's our 15th Best Burger Award. And so, we were hoping for that. We voted, but it's a public opinion. And when that came in and it was notified that we were the winner again of this, however many this is now, I don't know. It's the greatest feeling. I tell you, one of the best feelings I've had in my adult life that I can tell you about is the fact that I published this book, and this may not mean much to you. I don't know. It's just 100 and something pages, but the fact that I probably was the last guy that anybody ever expected to go write a book, and I did it with some help, great help. My mom helped me. I had beta readers help, and we got this done. And when I saw that in that box the very first time, there's a video on my Facebook. My wife tells me when I got home, she said, I could tell that you were overwhelmed by the way that you opened that box and what you said. She said, normally you have a whole lot more to say than what you said whenever you were opening the box and looking at the book the first time. Go back and look at that if you want to on my Facebook page. I don't say much. And the reason that I don't is it was an overwhelming joy. I had a hit, like I was high for a while, just to look at this, just to look at something that was created over a 6-month period and all the struggle and all the work that went into it, to have that accomplishment. It was amazing. Like really amazing. And, there's things in your life that when you put the effort into it, whether it be building a new fence around the backyard, or, at work, you're going to accomplish this sales goal. You're going to go out and you're going to, the other day I was at the restaurant and I told a couple that I was sitting with, talking to, I said, when that group right there came in, they were pretty stiff. They were not smiling. They were real, just kind of downers. And I made up my mind, before they walk out of this building, I'm going to make them my friends. I'm going to put a smile on their face. I'm going to do my best to be kind to them and turn them around. And when they left that night out of the building, they stopped by and shook my hand, and they had a smile on their face, and they said, thanks for a great experience. And there's just something rewarding about setting a goal. May seem insignificant to somebody else. Doesn't matter to me. That was a win. And that was an awesome hit right there of dopamine. It was a great day. Everything was wonderful. That just made it better. And so setting those goals throughout your day gives your body an opportunity to win, gives you your mind an opportunity to win. And it really doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. Whatever works for you, do those things, make those goals, hit those goals. And you can't hit something you're not aiming at. So write it down. Set those goals up so that whenever you do have an opportunity to hit them, the reward is there and you're on your path. I was told last night, I was working a shift at the restaurant, and a young man, he's a lot younger than me, which people are getting younger than me every day, I guess, but a lot younger than me. And he said, man, it's amazing. He was looking at the book, and I handed him a podcast card, and he said, man, it's amazing to see your business grow and expand. He's like, man, just to think you were just a restaurant just a few years ago, and now you've got this going, and you got this going. And it was a great high compliment. But I got to say, I didn't do that for him. I didn't do that to get that comment or to get that compliment. I did these things because personally, I wanted to see it done. I wrote a book because I wanted to write a book. If nobody bought the book, which I'm so thankful people are buying the book. I'm almost, this week I'll put a second print together for the paperback. It's going great. But if no one bought the book, just the accomplishment inside of my own psyche and my own body was an amazing accomplishment. And I'm still on cloud nine, just from doing that. Just when I come up and do a podcast here in the studio, just to know that it was accomplished, and we just hit 10 weeks, and I'm looking at, when we hit 20 weeks, I think it's when we get 20 episodes live, I think we're in the top 1% of podcasts around the world. So many podcasts start out, people get frustrated. There's not enough listeners. There's not enough downloads, and they start getting frustrated by it. I don't put this out. I hope you enjoy it. I want every download I can get. I want every listener I can get. But a lot of what I'm doing is putting information out into the world and trying to help people. And it's more of a personal goal of mine to get this content out, and that somebody who needs it will find it. And maybe there's something that I say along the way that encourages somebody or helps somebody, gives them an idea, and their business can grow, their business can be more successful, whatever it is. That's great if it happens. It's really a personal goal of mine to be able to put this information out. So it's kind of a win-win there. And anyway, the highest goal and the highest accomplishment personally to you is what matters. That's what matters. Someone else may see it as insignificant. Doesn't matter. Your mind will know how great it was. And when that happens, it's amazing. It's amazing when you start going down that road of accomplishing your goals and making them happen, how your life becomes happier, how your life becomes more productive, and even physiologically in your body, you get to see some great things change. I'll just say this. It's a tragedy when I see people who do not have goals. I see men who are aimless. A lot of times they're accompanied with a lot of anxieties because there's no way for someone to be able to be happy without fulfilling this in their life. Mr. Peterson says that a man without goals is a man without any positive emotion in his life. If you don't have goals that you're accomplishing, then you're missing out on that positive emotion that propels you forward to go out and accomplish more. And one thing that comes to mind to me is I think when I think men, or I think about men or women and accomplishment, my mind goes back to some of the stories that I've heard growing up about the Old West and the wagon trains and how they would get all their stuff inside. There's been some TV shows and movies out in the last several years that depict this. They're moving across the prairie with this covered wagon and a team of mules, and to think that every day is an accomplishment, but then to think every day of their life moving forward, they're going to have to accomplish something. They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to establish shelter. They're going to have to put some fences up. They're going to have to have some cattle and milk the cows. They're going to have to make a way for winter to be inhabitable. I mean, they're going to have to do some things every single day, a lot of things every single day just to survive. But the body is built in such a way that it propels us forward when we do that. It empowers us literally to go out and do the impossible whenever we set ourselves up to be able to be active and do that. Don't be aimless. I know guys in business, restaurant business, they've just gotten so used to settling for what they have. They're not driven. They're not pushed. I was just talking to a friend yesterday. Went in and saw him. He opened up a new branch of his restaurant, a to-go small plate kind of a deal. And they've already got 2 other restaurants operating right now. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is a guy that's driven. This is a guy that understands what it takes to keep moving forward and keep being successful. And there's a reward with that when that happens. And so to sum up what I'm saying in this part, our body really does desire to be a success. Our mind really does desire to achieve. And it's proven physiologically in your body. And again, I'm not talking about losing yourself. I'm not talking about losing your family in some sea of success and drive. I'm not talking about going to extremes. I'm just saying set up a normal day-to-day accomplishment, goal in some way that you can be proud of every day. And that'll literally be enough for you to find yourself in 6 months, in 3 months, in 2 years, a lot farther down the road and a lot happier with your life and your business and whatever you're doing. If you're not challenging yourself, then you're probably living a less than life. I'll say that one more time. If you're not challenging yourself every day in some way to do better, to reach more, to get out and see some goals accomplished, you're living a less than life, and that could be turned around tomorrow by simply setting up some goals and accomplishing them. Go out and try it. See what happens in your life. Another interesting study that I heard and studied this week is about our conscious versus subconscious. And this is kind of part 2 of what I want to bring into your thoughts today is you have these goals and you have this success, but then how do you propel that in a way that continues forward for a lifetime? It's not about just this week, of course. It's not about just finishing out the year strong or whatever might be on your mind. We're not talking about New Year's goals here. We're just talking about a life strategy that keeps us moving forward and physiologically reinforced. And so I looked at this study this week. I was in a seminar and they talked about it. And I jotted some notes down, and really cool to think about the difference between your conscious and your subconscious and how they tie together. And your conscious is what you're doing right now. It's the things that you're doing right now. And you're telling yourself to do them right now. I'm telling myself to move this hand to talk to you. I'm telling myself to make words in conversation. But there are many things happening right now that I'm subconsciously doing and computing and making happen. And so if I were to ask you how many subconscious thoughts does it take a day to get through a typical day, how many would that be? You may say 5,000. You may say 300. You may say, oh, it's a lot, 10,000. Try 35,000 subconscious thoughts on a typical day. 35,000 thoughts in your brain going off to make your day happen. And so what causes our thoughts to go from conscious thought, telling ourselves what to do, to our brain doing it without even thinking about it? And it's real easy. It's real simple. It's when you've done it enough and it's repetitive enough that it becomes muscle memory. It becomes habit. it becomes something that we just do because we've done it enough. If you remember jumping in the car the very first time you're going to drive and you're fumbling with the key, you're trying to get the key in. Well, I'm telling my age now. We don't even have keys anymore. We've got key fobs that stay in our pocket or purse or whatever, and we just hit a button. But when I started driving, there was actually a trunk key and an ignition key, and I know that's weird. But in the first time, I got to tell you this, the first time we had driver's ed, and in my driver's ed, we had a class, and we finally got to start driving. And so I went after school to this secondary location. It was a business, and that's the driving academy. And so once we started driving, there was an instructor and 3 other students in the car. And so each of the 3 get to drive some each evening. And so I pretty much knew what I was doing. I had been driving already. I'd driven tractors since I was 12 and driven the truck out on the ranch, and that's enough. I'll stop right there with all my legal or illegal activities. But I knew what I was doing pretty good before I went to driver's ed. But the guy that got in to drive first, he was trying to stick that trunk key in the ignition. He couldn't get the trunk key to go in the ignition. And I looked up at them and I said, "Can I get out now? I don't know if I want to drive with this guy. He doesn't even know what key." That's a true story. And I'll tell you, the very first stop sign we got to, you're going to think I'm making this up. I promise, as sure as I'm sitting here, as sure as you're listening to this, I'm telling you the truth. The very first stop sign, that sucker didn't even stop. They have a thing on the passenger side in those cars called a chicken brake, and it connects to the emergency brake, and so the instructor can slam that. And it was the very first stop sign with that guy. He chicken braked us, and we almost had a wreck just trying to get out of the parking lot and onto the first block. Anyway, you remember how it was when you... I got a little sidetracked there. You remember when you first sat down in the first time you drove? You were checking everything. 10 and 2. You're at the right pedal does the gas and the speed forward, and the left pedal does the stopping. I mean, you're having to think about all this. Remember, check your mirrors, and remember, look left and right before you turn, and all of the details. How fast am I going? How can I speed up? Do I have to slow down? Is there a stop sign coming? When do I start my blinker? I mean, now people don't even use their blinkers. And so, it's crazy all the things you had to think about. And now, after you've been driving for several years, you can get all the way home 30 minutes away from work and not even know how you got home because you did all of that with your subconscious. You drove all the way home without even any true active thought. Have you ever been on the phone with somebody between point A and B, and then you're like, I don't even remember turning there. I don't remember making that curve. Obviously, I did. I made it to here, but I had so much, invested in this conversation that I didn't even really think about driving because you've done it so much, it becomes subconscious. It's repetition. It's just a habit that we get into. And success is a mechanism that when you're doing the right things the right way, it becomes second nature. And again, I say it in the book, success is not just for a certain few. It's not just for, certain high-level operators or certain, highly educated people or whatever the box is that you think it fits into. Success is available to everybody. If you'll do the right things the right way with a spirit of excellence, with checking on the value that you're giving, if you're really doing your best to appreciate people who are doing shopping at your store, buying at your restaurant, being a part of your business. If you're really, truly grateful to the things that are happening in your life and you're moving through life with kindness and these basic principles, success is going to happen to you. And if not, you're smart enough probably to go find somebody who can say, well, check on this and maybe adjust this or maybe change that. And then you're going to continue to get more successful. But the more we do the normal, the regular, the just the things that we're supposed to do, the more habit forming those things become, and they become second nature. Again, I was just at a shift just last night at the restaurant, and I noticed, because I've been thinking about this topic all week, and I noticed that I would just stick my hand out, extend my hand to men as they come in the door, say, man, welcome. Glad to have you here. And they would shake my hand and say, thank you. We're glad to be here. First timers. And I say, just come right over here. We'll get your order right here. Here's a menu. Here's the board of menu, the displays. Check this out. And I went through the whole thing and didn't even think about what I was saying because I've said it so much. I didn't have to stop and make sure I was making sense or make sure that I was saying everything I need to say because I have done this so much. I've welcomed people in and out of our restaurant so much. I've been kind to people for and genuinely kind to people for so long. It's second nature. I can think about something else while I'm doing it. We have 6 cheeses that we offer. And they say, well, what kind of cheese? I'll say, do you want cheese on your burger? And they'll say, what kind of cheese you have? And I'll say, American cheddar, pepper jack, Swiss. We also then make our own pimento cheese, and then we also have a blue cheese. And so I can say that without even thinking about it. I had to think about it right there because my producer was giving me a hand signal. But I can usually say, just pop off the top of my head, American cheddar, pepper jack, Swiss. I don't have to think about it. Lettuce, tomato, pickle, onion, I don't have to think about it. I've said that so many thousands of times over the years of standing behind that counter that I don't have to look at the keypad, the iPad, to know where certain burgers are. I know exactly where they are. Kind of like a keyboard, you don't have to look and type because when you first started, you were hunting and pecking on that keyboard and you were trying to find, where the K is and where the L is and what word would ever have K and L together. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You're just confusing yourself on hunting and pecking, and now you can just fly without even thinking about it. The same is true with success. If you're doing the right things, you're setting the right goals, you're accomplishing them, you're pushing yourself forward, it'll become second nature. You won't have to stop and think, did I set any goals today? No, it's second nature. I'm achieving more today than I did yesterday. I'm going to be kind to people today. It's going to be second nature. I'm not going to have to make myself do it. I'm just going to do it. And as you do that, these things become subconscious. And so let me tell you, out of the 35,000 subconscious thoughts and decisions that you make a day, the more you go towards the positive, productive end of those things, the more that's going to be the result of your life. This is very simple stuff. The more your thoughts are negative, the more they're procrastinating, the more they're pessimistic, the more of those 35,000 learned subconscious thoughts are a day, the worse your day is going to be. That's just the way it is. You can't look at life negative and have a positive life. You just can't do it. You can't be down in the dumps every day and at the same time positive and uplifting to everyone else. It does not work that way. So we have to train our brain to do the things that we're supposed to do and do them right. And when you do that, it becomes second nature, subconscious. And so I'll finish up this thought with this. One final stat for you. Now, this is going to kind of blow your mind a little bit, I hope. But the human mind can produce up to 11 million bits of information in the subconscious. So I'm going to say that again. 11 million bits of information in the subconscious per second. Compare that and contrast that to, it can only process 40 bits of information in the conscious mind. So let me repeat that one more time. Some of you may be driving or on the, you're on the elliptical and you need me to say it again. Here it goes. The human mind can process up to 11 million bits of information per second in the subconscious mind, but it can only process 40 bits. 11 million to 40, okay? That's a big difference. 40 bits of information in the conscious mind. So what does that mean? The more that we train ourselves and determine in ourselves to do every day the right way, then the more we don't have to think about it. It's just second nature. And then we can, in our active conscious mind, that's only going to handle 40 decisions a second, now we have some room to improve. We have some room to pay attention. We have some other things that we can do. And really the majority of our decision making is done with our subconscious mind. the majority of our thought and our response, you know how it is when somebody says something that catches you off guard and you just pop off with something, or you ever get hit in the nose and just all of a sudden anger just wells up in you because it hurts and your eyes are watering and you're just looking at what you can swing at. All that's subconscious, all that's learned, and all that's behaviors that's inside. You didn't consciously, with your 40 bits of processing information and power, come up with that. That came from back in the auto functions of your brain. And so in business, the more we set our auto in our brain, the subconscious, to doing the right things and doing them well and appreciating people and truly doing the very best that we can do, over time, those responses, those auto responses are going to be so much easier. When I first started the restaurant, we're talking over 5 years ago now, I could get rattled. Someone could say something smart aleck. Someone would say something unkind. Someone could say something that about maybe my mom or my employees, and it would kind of rile me up just real quick because there was a lot of pressure, lots of reasons. But over time, I have consciously made it a point to just appreciate every single person that comes in that room, every single person that comes in that building. And I have tried my best to see them as an individual human being who made the choice to come and be with us. And I have made it a point to appreciate every single person that comes in. I don't have to think about it anymore. That's where the finances come from. That's where the reviews come from. That's where the forward motion comes from, is when you have that appreciative attitude and it's in autopilot and it automatically works and it happens every day as it should. Now, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm not saying that you can't get to me. You probably could say something that get me to pop off, but I don't just verbally pop off like I did a lot whenever I first got started. I'll tell you a funny story as I close today. I hope it's funny to you. I still get a kick out of it. But there was a couple that came in, kind of older, middle-aged, older couple that came in, and we were new. It was right after we got going, and we had already won one of our best burger awards, I believe, at this point. So it was validated that we had a good product, and she said, "Do you all serve alcohol?" Well, we don't. We don't serve alcohol at our restaurant, and there's a list of reasons why. I'll go into that someday on a different podcast. But I said, no, we don't. We have the Coke machine. We have 2 teas, whatever I said. And she turned to her husband and she said, "They don't have any beer. Do you want to stay here?" And I thought, without even thinking, I said, "Ma'am, if you can't enjoy one of the best burgers in town without a drink, maybe you should catch a meeting." And I know, in hindsight, that's probably not the most professional thing to say. But it just popped out, like without thinking. It just popped out of my mind and out of my mouth. And they both said at the same time, and in unison, they both just came right back and said, "We love Jesus." And I looked at them and I said, "So do I." I said, "But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, if you can't have one meal and enjoy one meal without a beer, try a burger. See what you think. It might be worth it." And they stayed and they ate. And to tell you the truth, I don't know if they ever came back or not. I don't remember them well enough to remember if they came back or not. I should, but I didn't. And I was probably more surprised at myself for actually saying that instead of keeping it inside. But I think I've grown, I hope I have, to the place where I don't pop off things that I shouldn't say. But I try at least to think the good thoughts and appreciate people. And when you can build a habit of setting goals, build a habit of accomplishing goals, make it just part of your everyday thinking that I'm going to go do something big today. I'm going to accomplish it, or I'm going to make progress and strides towards it. And when you can do that over and over, there is a habit forming part of that just becomes subconscious, and it just keeps driving you forward and you accomplish more and more. When you think about guys like Elon Musk, you think about some of these guys that, Steve Jobs when he was alive, some of these guys, you look at them and you're like, man, how did they do all of that? How did they accomplish so much in their life? Like, I mean, whether you're a fan of Elon Musk or not, that's not the point. But to have the Tesla, and you have the SpaceX, and now you have old Twitter, and you've got all these endeavors, and I'm sure there's 10 others that I don't know about, and yet he's going to meetings and speaking, and he's got value to add and ways of thinking that are different than everyone else, and it's just a crazy amount of stuff coming out of one guy. How does that happen? And I believe it's because they are driven, and they've realized that my best life is a life that I'm accomplishing something. My best life is life of big goals and making progress towards those goals every day. And so as I leave you today, thank you for tuning in to the Ranch and Table podcast. Thank you for, if this is your first time, jump backwards and catch some other of the episodes if you'd like. Some of these are solo like this, and some have guests, and so just take your time, look through them if you want. If those that have kept up with us and stay with us, thank you for being part of our life, and hopefully you can get back with me some information, some thoughts, on our Facebook page, or message me directly. And I'd love to hear what you're thinking about it. If you haven't picked up a book, Burger Brilliance is available on our website at wellscattleco.com. We can ship you out a copy pretty quickly. If you get one there, we'll get it to you. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you soon.